The Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, has written to the Prime Minister requesting an investigation into his own financial affairs.
Now, the request comes in the wake of controversy surrounding his wife's non-dom status, which could have saved her over the years up to £20 million in taxes, at a time, of course, when families are struggling with the ongoing cost of living crisis.
So you'll remember on Friday, Sunak's wife, Akshay Murthy, made the announcement that she was going to pay UK taxes on her worldwide income.
But the fallout from the row has significantly damaged Sunak's chances of becoming Prime Minister, with Tory MPs questioning whether the Chancellor has the political judgment needed for the top job.
Labour accused Sunak of dodging criticism of tax avoidance while raising taxes for working people and cutting benefits in real terms this month.
All this coming as the state pension today rises by 3.1%. That's just half the rate of inflation, which is likely to go up even more over the coming months. Let's talk to political consultant Emma Burnell, who joins us now. Good to see you this morning.
Hi.
But how much hot water is the Chancellor really in with this, do we think?
I mean, I don't think if it was this alone, it would just be hot water. What the Chancellor is finding is like the proverbial frog. He's been in a pan of water that's been slowly heating over a long time. Rishi Sunak's fatal flaw, and it's the only one you're really not allowed in politics, is he's been incredibly naive. He doesn't understand the business he's in properly, and his inability to really see both his own flaws and have the people around him who could properly help him deal with those have just left him completely exposed, and completely exposed as something the country are just not willing to wear at this time, which is utterly out of touch.
6 weeks ago, we maybe would have, in the midst of Partygate, be having a conversation to say Sunak looks like the next potential Prime Minister. Things have changed quite dramatically. He's asked for an investigation, though, so do you think that he can claw this back?
If he thinks an investigation that might technically go, well, yeah, you know, your missus is earning a bunch of money that, you know, probably should have come to the UK Exchequer, which, by the way, you're in charge of, but you told us in advance in a secret meeting, so that's OK, the taxpayer will completely forgive that. I mean, again, it's just naive.
I was going to say, because an investigation is presumably going to come out and say there's been no financial wrongdoing. But we sort of knew that anyway. It's not about the legality of it, it's about the optics.
It's about the optics. It's about his inability to understand why this might make ordinary people cross. And that, again, is where I think Rishi Sunak is really leaning into the Tories' biggest political problem. It's the same thing that happened when Dominic Cummings broke the COVID rules. It's that one rule for them, one rule for the rest of us optic that Sunak is now finding himself fatally damaged by.
What do you think he actually wants? You know, some of the papers talking about, quoting close sources to Sunak over the weekend, saying he doesn't actually want the top job. He could just leave this now and say, that's it for me. Time to bow out.
A single MP anywhere in Parliament, anywhere in history, anywhere in time that hasn't wanted the top job. It's just a nonsense.
Yeah, I was going to say, they all dream of it.
Yeah, of course they do. And who wouldn't? No one goes to work one day and thinks, you know what, bet I could do a better job than the boss one day.
Yeah. It is interesting, though, with all of this. Will it damage the party as a whole? I mean, obviously, we're coming up to the May elections, the local elections. It's almost like our midterms, isn't it, as far as that goes? Is this likely to influence some of those results, do we think?
This on its own wouldn't have done.
No, but tied in with
it is tied in with the cost of... Exactly that. People are feeling the pinch. Rishi Sunak is not feeling the pinch. And you could not have a more damaging and obvious example of the difference between them and us, and that is going to be in people's minds when they go into the voting booth.
Ultimately, why he's asked for investigation is he clearly doesn't believe he's done anything wrong. So for you, is this about a sort of moral, ethical issue?
I mean, there are the official rules, which I would probably change and tighten. There is the look, which is you can't have a civil servant investigating and saying, you know, that actually looks quite bad, Rishi. Yeah, you haven't broken any rules, but you probably have been a bit of an idiot here. I mean, that's not a civil servant's job. Lord Geit's not going to come across and say, well, you know, if I was Alistair Campbell, I'd tell you to do this. If I was Dominic Cummings, I'd tell you to do this. That's not their job. There's nothing in any piece of paper a civil servant can hand Rishi Sunak that will stop it looking really weird that his wife has found 20 million down the back of the sofa, basically, in a way that none of us can imagine it. Like, that's not existence that talks to us.
No, it is. Look, what about the Labour Party in all of this? I mean, in one sense, it seems like it's a bit of an open goal, and yet, how do they go about criticising someone for doing something which is absolutely legal?
They lean back and let them tear themselves apart. This is quite clearly being briefed out from different bits of the Tory party. Again, I come back to Rishi Sunak's political naivety. He was being quite quiet and not coming to Boris Johnson's full-throated defence during Partygate. That's been remembered. And all of a sudden, look who the attention's on. Oh, it's Boris Johnson's biggest rival for the crown.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting, isn't it? Look, Emma, we'll leave it there, but really good to talk to you this morning.
Thank you
very much indeed.